This is Rich from Insta360, and today we're going to be talking about the 8 most common mistakes to avoid when you first start shooting 360 photo and 360 video. All the links and further information about what we talk about today in this video can be found in the description below. We all make mistakes when we start using new camera equipment and new kit, but I want you to be armed with this knowledge about the mistakes that I made so that you don't make them. Mistake number 1 is hand holding the camera like this and taking the photo with your thumb, because you'll end up with a big hand and a big thumb that looks a bit like this. Remember that your hand and your thumb is the closest thing to the camera, so it's going to look huge. And also your hand and your thumb is right around the stitching area of the camera, so it can easily be cut off. So whenever you take a photo, zoom in on the photo and check that nothing's been cut off and nothing's too distorted. If you carry on holding the camera in this way, you're going to continue to have those problems. The only solution that you've got is to get yourself a selfie stick. The selfie stick enables the camera to be away from your hand and away from your thumb, and it means that your hand isn't blocking the stitching area around here. So you're going to get rid of all of those problems with cutting off your fingers, cutting off your hands, cutting off your thumbs. The angle of the camera on top of the selfie stick is really important. Traditionally, when we've got a GoPro, for example, on a selfie stick, it would be quite common practice to angle the camera towards you when you take a selfie. This is not necessary with the 360 camera. In fact, it's only not necessary, it will cause you problems in your shot. When you put your 360 camera on the selfie stick, it's important that it's straight, and if you do have an angular head on top that you can adjust, make sure you put it in the upright position. If we put it in this position here, so it's tilted towards us, then we'll see the selfie stick in the shot. The only position that it can't see is the position underneath the camera. So that's why that when the selfie stick is in this straight position, that it becomes invisible. Be aware of shadows and the position of your selfie stick. The sun is our friend in that it creates crisp blue skies, but it's also our biggest enemy because it can throw shadows all over the place. And the one thing that the software can't do is get rid of the shadows created from the stick. If we look at our key light just in this picture, assuming the key light is the sun, at the moment it's throwing a shadow over my face. Now all I've got to do is move the selfie stick over to my left and the shadow's gone, over to the right and the shadow's gone. So just be aware of the positioning of the sun in relation to you and to the stick, and if necessary just move the stick from one side to the other instead of placing it in front of you. You can also throw the shadow into the shadow of a building or into the shadow of a tree. It just takes that one small movement and you can save a photo. When you shoot 360 video, and especially immersive 360 video, there's no need to move the camera around in order to focus the shot or to find a shot. The 360 video sees in 360, so it sees everything. The viewer is the one that navigates through the story and they decide what they want to see and when they want to see it. So don't go waving your selfie stick around. This camera will see everything and you can make the decisions or prompt some of the decisions in the edit, but ultimately it's the viewer that decides what they want to see. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make that are new to 360 cameras is that they don't look after the camera and they don't look after their lens. These lenses are on both sides of the camera. They protrude from the camera and you can't protect them. You can't put a traditional lens hood on them. You can't put a protective filter on them because everything would be seen. So this camera is vulnerable to being scratched. It can be knocked over easily and very quickly your camera can be damaged and unusable. So get yourself a small tripod, get yourself a selfie stick and get yourself a lens cloth and a protective case. There's another video that I make that goes into a lot more detail on how to protect your lens and camera. When you first start shooting 360 video and photo, you'll realise quite quickly that the camera and the phone use up battery really quickly. The best solution for this is to buy these portable power banks. The portable power banks operate off of a USB cable. You can buy them at any length. They plug straight into the camera. The camera can be used whilst the portable power bank is plugged in. If you're on a break, a lunch break, coffee break, you can plug the portable power bank in, top your phone up, top your camera up, and it will just keep you shooting longer. When we shoot 4K, 5.7K and RAW files on the 360 cameras, they take up memory a lot faster and the files are huge. So we need a good memory card in order to process the information as quickly as possible. If we use an inferior memory card, then we do run the risk of the memory card failing and the data not being written at all. I only ever use SanDisk memory cards. I find them to be the most reliable memory card out there. They're very robust. They've never let me down. On the Insta360 website, they do recommend the SanDisk Extreme Pro memory card for the Insta360 One X. I actually, to be honest, don't use the Extreme Pro. I use the SanDisk Extreme card. Some people only like to use the recommended card that's on your manufacturer's site, but from what I've read, the SanDisk Extreme card, you know, is more than good enough for the Insta360 One X, and as I said, I haven't had a problem with it so far. The one other thing to note with memory cards, and the one thing that kind of gets overlooked, is that when people buy memory cards, they look at the maximum capacity that they can buy. So they buy a 256 gigabyte memory card. I think there's even talk of a 400 gigabyte memory card now. You can store tons and tons of stuff on that card, loads of photos, loads of videos, but that also means that all of that is on one card. So if that card gets corrupted or you lose all that material. I tend to want to safeguard myself, and I buy several smaller cards, which means my material is more protected if something does go wrong. Most of the time you get some really cool stuff with these cameras, but sometimes you turn up to a location and it doesn't lend itself to being a 360 photo or video. So when you turn up, evaluate what's going on. You know, these cameras, they see everything. So something that may look quite significant to our eye on camera can look quite small and quite insignificant. So always look for something that's very dramatic. Lots of trees, lots of cloud, nice blue sky, nice rolling patterns on the floor, especially for inverted planets. You know, start thinking on a bigger scale, because then that bigger scale will then translate to a really good photo. So think about all of this before you just turn up on the location and plonk the camera down and start filming or start taking photos, because this will make your photos so much better. If the location isn't working, then just move on. So I hope you can avoid making some of these mistakes that we all make when we first start shooting with 360 cameras. But it's also important to note that that you should be making some mistakes. If we're not making mistakes, then we're not pushing ourselves. And if we're not pushing ourselves, we're not progressing. So get out there, make some mistakes, learn and have fun. Tell me in the comments section about any of the mistakes that you made when you first started. And please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next video.